this. You're at the peak, and we had a pretty like deep conversation yesterday, and you were very honest. Like I appreciate the candor with how much money you've made in your career, and like all of your like a lot of your success, and some of the trouble, some of the challenges, like as an entrepreneur as well. So just excited to do this and share with the community. And I love what you said about failing your parents. Could you share a little bit more about like what their expectations were and what they thought, a good son should be doing in terms of career wise?
Yeah, 100%. So, just a little context. I'm Marcus Chan, and my parents, my dad was from China, my mom's from Taiwan, and they came to America in like the late 70s. My dad was given the Cultural Revolution. He had absolutely no money, and they came to America to start a whole new life. And what was interesting was, at the time, many Asians are not hired, especially in small towns like Springfield, Oregon. That's where I grew up early on. So they started their own Chinese restaurant. So we grew up working really hard and doing all those things. But one of the things was, growing up, as we know as like Asians, our parents have high expectations of us, even as a young kid. We all know that. We just know
I don't know why this guy said that. He's like, "Hi, drug dealer."
uh, I guess I kind of like, impossible. Who knows? It's
Ankit, is that a unconscious bias you got there, man? Come on, man. You gotta have better questions than that.
hey, this is our pre-yoga. We're about to go to yoga mode. Anyways, anyway, we'll go back
Sorry.
to it. Anyway, it's hilarious. I love that. Anyways, so so there's a high expectation at a young age, and
He was like, "I'm just kidding. I'm sorry."
it's all good. No worries. I remember even like I didn't start speaking until I was 4 years old, and actually had a speech impediment, and actually went to
Oh,
speech therapy for years. So my parents were afraid,
wow.
were like, oh man, like the only son is like there's something wrong with him. Oh no, which is obviously it's like in Chinese families they want to brag about their kids and not be like, oh no, there's problems. So and I was like always I was like as I got a little older, I was good at school but never really great at school. And I remember like before I went to college, they wanted me to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, some sort of high paying, less stressful thing to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know what I was going to do. In fact, actually, what I was going to do was become an architect.
Huh.
And I actually had my parents because I drew a lot. I was kind of artistic as a kid, and they're like, "Oh, maybe you should be an architect."
Huh.
I'm like, "That'd be cool." So I was actually having my application filled out for the architecture school in Oregon.
Huh.
Filled it all out. I was about to turn it in, and then my parents were like, "Hey, listen, in locally, this guy comes to our restaurant all the time. He's an architect. Would you like to go and maybe do a job shadow with him for a day?" I'm like, "That sounds awesome." I'm like 17 years old, and I go and do it, and I'm picturing late nights on a
Yeah.
drafting table. I'm picturing, building models by hand. I'm picturing like these things I see on movies, and I
Huh.
get there, it's nothing like that. They all use AutoCAD software. This on the
Hmm.
computers. I'm like, where's the drafting?
Uh,
It wasn't
it's
what I
changed a
imagined.
lot.
It
Yeah.
was totally changed. Even and this is
Oh,
early
sorry
2000s.
to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Someone's asking like, "What's your background? Like, what's your?" Yeah, I guess I think he just logged in. That's why
Okay,
on the
no
live
worries.
stream.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. We'll cover that what I do now.
Okay.
So anyways, so then from there I end up dropping out of architecture school,
Hmm.
went undeclared. And fast forward, eventually like graduated, got a job in B2B sales. My parents were pissed because I
Hmm.
obviously didn't pick any other, and I also had other job opportunities. That was like a low as it was like a low 29.5 base salary sales job.
Oh, the mic. He said something about the mic.
Is that
Is
not loading?
I don't
We'll check
know.
it for a second.
I mean, the mic looks good on my end. Are you guys not able to hear him or something?
Hello, hello.
Here,
Hold
well,
on.
maybe we'll just switch. Maybe
We'll
this one's
switch.
better. Yeah, sorry.
Cool, cool.
Thanks for letting me know, Ankit. Yeah, I guess.
All right. Hey, Ankit saves the day, man. You totally redeemed yourself. Totally redeemed yourself. Awesome. So, anyways, I go to B2B sales. Long story short, almost get fired. Just do absolutely terrible. And this is in the last right before the last recession. Now,
Hmm.
fortunately, eventually figured it out. Stayed in B2B sales for another 13 years for two major Fortune 500 companies. In that time, did all right. Ended up hitting exceed my number 13 years in a row, 100,
Wow.
250%. In my first 8 years, promoted 12 different times. It got to the point where I was in a sales force of 85 employees that I grew to 110 employees, and we were doing, when I rolled out about 200 million a year in total contract value deals every single year, and I was really fortunate because of eventually figuring it out. And by the way, in the first several years, my parents were still like, "I don't think you should be in sales." Blah blah. I literally had to show them my W-2
Wow.
earnings every year for the first like
Huh.
10 years, just like
Really?
like I'm telling you, look at
And,
this equity, look at
and
what
were
I'm
they
doing.
actually proud of you,
They were
or?
like, Probably like by the 10th year, yes.
What? It
Yeah,
took them
it
10
took a
years?
while. It just took a. It was like
That's
it was
crazy.
just for them. It was like the level of prestige, right? I think they
Uh,
wanted a level of prestige,
hmm.
right?
Yeah.
By year 10, they're like, all right, screw it. He's obviously not going to do that, right? In
Yeah.
fact, actually, when I went to go start my business,
Hmm.
and I was fortunate. I was pretty smart on investments, so I'm like, I want to go all in and like really impact more people. Start my own sales coaching business, and it was already a side hustle already. But I was pretty smart on money. I positioned myself where even if the business failed for a couple decades, we'd be able to live and have live off of our monthly burn still and
Wow.
increase it with no worries. So I was like, I
Impressive.
put myself in that position early on. A lot of it had to do because I grew up so poor, so I was just
Hmm.
really frugal, cheap, if you will, and I just invested everything, right? But
Hmm.
anyways, then I started my business, and actually before that, my parents were like, "Oh, are you sure? Like, you got a great thing going,
Hmm.
right?
Mm.
Listen, like you're
Yeah.
literally flying around in corporate jets. Like you're literally like,
Really? You were
yeah,
into it?
100%. I
Wow.
was on corporate jets, we're flying around.
That's
I was
crazy.
like on texting basis with the C-suite. This is a Fortune 500 company,
Wow.
right? Like
That's insane.
I'm like next in line for all these things, major
Hmm.
influence. I'm still in the training videos in a lot of other companies still. So
Yeah.
I get text messages. Now I had more hair back then. I'm bald now, but you know. Anyways, started my
Hmm.
business, and now it's been over 5 years. And now they're like,
Okay.
"Oh my god, I'm so glad you did it!" Right?
Mm.
But again,
And did you share with them how much money you're making and all that?
yeah.
Oh,
Every week
okay.
they ask me how much money I made that week.
What? Every week?
They're totally Chinese, man. They're totally Chinese, man. They're
I
totally
mean, that's a little
Chinese.
extreme every
I
week.
know my parents are hilarious.
But,
It's my dad and I his relationship. We talk about like money, investments, like
oh,
buying
okay. That's
stuff,
good.
like like he's really frugal as well. But
Oh, okay.
he's like the market's really good today. So, like he's retired now. He's got nothing
Yeah.
better to do, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
his intentions are good. You know.
So, so obviously, there's not a lot of Asian, so we're in America for people who are, watching from overseas. Yeah, we have 39 people watching right now, just for
What's up?
context. So I'm curious, what was it like, and especially in Oregon, I'm assuming there's just not as many Asians as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So were there times where you felt like you had to overcompensate by working harder, by being smarter, by studying more, putting in more effort than everyone else?
Yeah, and there's a level of wiring, and I don't blame my parents at all. It's because a lot of them they're just based off their experience and their belief systems. They
Yeah.
just kind of believe certain things. So, like in school growing up, and like when I was in Springfield, Oregon, or Eugene, Oregon, almost always I was maybe one of two Asian kids in the class, max. Now maybe 30,
It's tough.
right?
Yeah.
We probably have maybe like one black kid, right?
Wow.
And almost always we were friends, like
Yeah.
by
Oh
default.
yeah.
It was almost like rush hour. We were kind of it's almost like that. Like
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
be hanging out with
That's
them. Right?
funny.
I mean, I loved it. And that's how it was. But anyways,
Yeah.
it was a little tricky. And growing my parents, my mom specifically was like, "Hey, Marcus, listen, like, you look different.
Yeah.
Like we're not like everybody else. We're one of few Chinese families, especially at that time.
Yeah.
Um, like we need to give them zero reason to
Hmm.
not be a jerk to us. Like, you need to show that you are like kind,
Hmm.
respectful. But on top of that, generally speaking, blend in. The only way you can
Hmm.
stand out is I want you to be elite.
Huh.
Like I want you to be really good at something.
She said elite. Like
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
that's a lot of pressure,
Oh, a lot
right?
of pressure for sure. I mean, that's kind of an Asian thing. It's kind of like if I got an A, why wasn't it an A plus?
So they were very typical, I
100%.
guess.
I
Yeah.
mean, I remember growing up, dude. Like, even like I was competitive swimmer, and I remember like
Oh yeah.
it was like I would like I swam club year round, which meant I was always training nonstop. So we swim we would swim about 60,000 meters a week, right?
That's
And
crazy.
we work out about 4 to 6 hours a day.
Wow.
5 days a week, and we had 6 days.
Huh.
That was only 3 hours, but it was very intense. And when I did the high school team, which is like the team wasn't that good, like I would go to some of these meets and like I would swim my worst event,
Hmm.
and I would like get number one for the swimming. It would be like a
Wow.
small meet, and then they'd be like, oh cool, and I'd have practice in the morning. I would go to the meet,
Yeah.
win a couple of first places, go to practice after with my other
Hmm.
team, and they'd be like,
Wow.
oh, you got first, but you didn't have a PR.
Oh, your parents?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was very
Damn.
much or my mom. We're
That's
tiger
is that like
moms.
a Taiwanese thing, you think, or is that?
Yeah, I think it's very Taiwanese, very Chinese thing, right?
Yeah.
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
Because that can create a lot of insecurity. I can create a lot of
Hmm.
insecurity and like self-worth issues from me
Yeah.
growing up, where I feel like I constantly prove myself and achieve certain
Hmm.
things.
So did you ever like even now, like, do you feel like you still need to prove yourself, or is it like you're in a good place where you don't need as much of your parents' approval, or do you still think that's still something you struggle with?
You know, it's interesting. It's like I no longer like now it's pretty established. Like they can't figure out like okay, whatever Marcus puts his mind to,
Hmm.
he'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I think he'll be okay. He'll
But,
figure
but
it out.
when do you think they finally realize that?
Well, I think they go through phases. You know, and I think like
Yeah.
every parent, like the intentions are always really good, which is they want the best for their kids.
Yeah.
You know, so like
Yeah.
I remember even in my corporate career, it took 10 years for me to get to that point. But then the last several years, they were just like really happy for me, and they
Oh.
wanted me to be happy. And
Yeah.
what was really interesting was when I started the business, they were against it, of course, because they're like,
Hmm.
hey, you have a really good thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're making more than doctors and lawyers. And you're like, you have this like,
Yeah.
prestige. You're wearing nice suits. You have nice tools. Like,
Ah.
kind of
So
like,
it's a lot of so half was prestige still.
yeah, it was. They're like,
Huh.
why would you want to leave that? You know?
Yeah.
And but they also saw how much travel I was doing, how I was having
Yeah.
fun, and so after a couple years in business, you know, like when I was kind of stable, kind of see
Hmm.
the trajectory. But more importantly, it's how much more time I had,
Ah.
and they were
Okay.
really happy with that. They were really happy with that.
Because you were also able to spend more time with them as well, right?
100%. I could spend more
Ah.
time with them, so they were like, they like saw that it was a really good trade-off,
Ah.
you
Okay.
know.
Okay. That's good.
And for them, like at the end of the day, it's funny. Like let's say if I had like a bad like revenue week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, the outcomes is irrelevant.
Yeah.
My dad's always, you know, he's always super cool. He's like, it doesn't really matter
Huh.
because you guys are in health,
Oh.
you're happy. So like, he's always like, he acts, he's curious, but he doesn't really care. Right?
Okay.
We're just talking, we're just having conversation, right? Because at
Huh.
the end, all he wants are his family to be happy,
Yeah.
healthy,
Yeah.
everybody. That's all he really wants. Even like
Okay.
the same thing. You know,
Do
it's
you think
always
that's
good.
comes with age, or is it more of just accepting that, like, all right, Marcus will be okay. Like, I don't have to worry.
Probably a combination. You
Yeah.
know, because like, you know, because now he's got like you know other family, like a lot of friends,
Yeah.
and like you know some of their kids maybe aren't really doing anything, or some of them kind of like just kind of like still living in their parents' house, not
So
really.
so he is comparing himself,
Yeah, so
like.
he's a little bit like, oh, no, thank God, like he's got his act together. Thank God he's
I think
actually
that's a
like,
very Asian thing.
it totally is, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
he's like, well, you know what? Like they got their sound mind. They're doing something productive in society.
Yeah.
Cool. They're not doing bad things.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for? You
Huh.
know, so he's really
So,
content now.
so I'm curious, like, when you're at, are you allowed to talk about the company, or should we not talk?
Sure, we got
Oh,
we
okay.
go.
So when you're at Cintas, right? Being Asian, do you feel like they would assume, like, okay, is this guy gonna be like, I can bulldoze him and I can like kind of overpower him by like just being, or did they not mess with you when it?
Well, that's a really good, interesting question, right? And a great question, by the way. You know, it's interesting because it's a really great company, and I was there for, I mean, almost 9 years. And what was really
Yeah.
interesting about the company is like it's a Midwest-based company. It's been around for almost 100 years.
Wow.
Right? So
Yeah.
as a result, like you see kind of reflection of what that looks like. You know, like this is
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
Um, the coastal for sure had way more diversity.
Okay.
Right. I mean, a lot had to do with the leadership. Like, you know, who was basically the VPs and rolled
Yeah,
down.
sure.
It always does. You know.
Yeah.
It become a reflection of that, right? So, you know, when I first joined the sales team, like, I think what's really important was whenever I joined a team, like, when I joined the team, I joined as a sales professional, as an AE, and I looked at the team. No, everyone was really nice to me. Right? No one really treated me badly or differently.
Mm-hmm.
But because of my prior background history, there was some talk about me already. So they kind of
Hmm.
had this like, hey, this guy's in like. I was actually I was really nervous actually because they were
Hmm.
like, he's an incredible. Like, he's a huge track record.
So.
And the manager or VP were talking me up, and I'm like,
Uh.
oh no, like what if I just mess up and do terrible? I just totally.
Huh. So your reputation precedes you.
Yeah, I was scared. Like I was really
Wow.
scared, right? Because I was like, am I going to be able to show up and deliver? Like, maybe I got lucky. I had imposter syndrome. I was like,
Yeah.
I got lucky in the past. Maybe like all the things I did is just luck or something.
So do you still get imposter syndrome now, or do you?
100%.
Oh, really?
100%.
Okay, because obviously you present yourself very confidently. So.
Well, so I think about it is like, you know, I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So like, usually something happens that's undesirable, and I always do my best to detach from the outcomes. But let's be real. It still bothers us.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Even like a little small amount, and that adds up. So for example, like if I have a bad week, or maybe you know, a deal goes sideways, I lose a deal, something just happens I don't desire.
Yeah.
It's like, shoot, why did that happen?
Hmm.
Like I should have done this. I should have
Yeah.
done that.
Okay.
What's wrong with me? Or maybe it's like, you know, like we we think entrepreneurship is like it's always like up and to the left, right?
Definitely not,
It's
right?
not.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
this,
scary,
right?
yeah.
And even the years are the same thing. It's like I
Uh,
wish it was like it's automatic like this, but no.
uh.
There's like years.
So
It's
you're
like
saying it
this.
never ends?
It never really ends, right?
Gotcha,
So
okay.
it's like that
What do I
saying
sign
where,
up for?
well, it's sales, it's life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's life. Where it's like what's that JJ Watt quote? Like success is not owned, is rented,
Yeah,
and the
so
rent's due every
true.
day. And
Yeah.
I found that
Ugh.
for life and everything in life, you have to like relationships need to show up. Life
Yeah.
needs to show up. Your money, you always need to
So,
be constantly building up.
so I know this is like pretty vulnerable. I mean, it sounds like you're pretty open. So you mentioned that you were so focused on your business, and obviously you're a millionaire now, right? But there was a time where you felt like you weren't there or present with your wife and your family and the kids and stuff like that. How did you have like a breakthrough moment, or was it just like you just were more introspective and you're like, all right, like I want to kind of like go through this new season of my life that's more balanced?
Really good question. I think in seasons is a great word because
Yeah.
just like anything else, the context in our lives always change. Whatever happens is always changing. So I think we have to be aware of the changes. And if we're not paying attention, we don't realize it. So, for example,
Yeah.
I remember, especially early on, 2017, and I'm in a hotel room. I'm traveling quite a bit. I'm in a hotel 100 nights plus a year,
Wow.
and
I can't even
it's
imagine that.
crazy,
That's
right?
wild.
And my kid came in January,
Okay.
2017, but in 2016 I was already starting to travel, and my wife is totally good with my schedule at the time,
Uh,
right? Because we're really similar and very different at the same time, and we're one of those couples where it's like we don't need to be with each other all the time,
okay.
right?
That's nice.
So it's like
For you, that's like
right,
perfect.
it's great, right? So it's like so she has her own hobbies, like she'll do it
uh,
on her own. My own
okay.
hobbies, I'll do on my own.
Does she work or?
She works. She works.
Oh,
So
wow.
she also has her own friend groups.
Oh, okay.
So she'll go and hang out with her friend groups. I have
Yeah.
my friend groups. We have mutual friend groups.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's like
healthy.
we want to make
Yeah.
sure it's like we're not like this like dependency type
Yeah.
thing.
Which like I feel like 90% of couples are like
Right.
that.
So for us,
Yeah.
it's really important to have that because it helps us be more fulfilled. Because there's some friends of hers that they just want to have girl talk, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to be the boys, talk about whatever. Like,
Yeah.
want to hang out with other entrepreneurs. Like, we're talking about stuff. She's like, this is so boring.
Yeah. She would be like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's just different. So
Yeah, it's
anyways,
different.
so totally good. When we had a kid, things started changing a little bit.
Uh,
Right. Could also
yeah.
travel a lot. And,
Yeah.
we hired a nanny. I did these things kind of obviously help out when I'm gone and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
there was like I didn't really think much about it.
Yeah.
Because I was still like when I came back, I'm full-time dad.
Yeah.
I'm in there. I'm doing all the things.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to like offset. So like Tuesday through Thursday when I'm basically gone,
Yeah.
I'm like work mode.
Yeah.
And then the Fridays through the weekends, I'm like dad mode.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
To the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really think much about it.
Yeah.
And there would be these things started happening where my kid, we found out he was allergic. He started eating food. He's allergic to a lot of foods. So he'd eat something and have a reaction, get high, something weird.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't tell what was going on, or she couldn't tell. But I was gone in some other state.
Oh.
And she'd call
That's sad.
me
Yeah.
on the back of the emergency vehicle,
Wow.
head to the ER. Hey, don't know. Like he ate something. We're going to the ER. Like we're rushing over. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and there's a tremendous guilt.
Hmm.
Like I'm not being a good husband. I'm not being a good dad. I'm not being present.
Yeah.
And the first time you don't really think much like, oh, I feel really bad, but you get whatever.
Hmm.
But it happened multiple times.
Yeah.
And then the stress level I could feel on her. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Just having you there would be
100%,
very.
just being present, right?
Yeah.
'Cause,
Huh.
I'm. She's not really good in really stressful situations.
Oh, I see.
I'm the crisis guy.
Huh.
Like
So she sounds the opposite in that sense.
correct. So
Huh.
if something's happening, like she actually will, she doesn't like it at times, but if something's going sideways, something's happening. Like I remember one time we were together, and he ate salmon for the first time. He couldn't breathe. You hear
It's
him.
heartbreaking.
And he's young. He's like 3 or 4, so I
Yeah.
can tell there's something going on.
Yeah.
Now she's freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, she should. Totally
Right.
normal. And I'm like, okay, we need to get Benadryl. We need to go
Yeah.
do this. We need to go to the house. I'm like, action ASAP, right?
Yep.
Which may seem like totally robotic. Zero empathy.
Yeah, but hey, you're solution oriented.
I'm like, we need to save this kid right now. That's
Yeah.
my number one focus right now. I'm not
Right.
feeling about saving people, right? So,
Yeah.
that can also hurt. But anyways, as he started getting old, a couple years, and I was traveling a lot, and
Yeah.
like from the work perspective, like outside looking in, it looked like I had a dream life,
Mm.
like dream
Yeah.
house, dream cars.
I mean, you have what most people will never achieve in their lifetime, honestly.
It looked really good on paper, right?
Yeah.
But like and I was like winning all the awards,
Hmm.
making them like it seemed cool, but I felt guilty all the time.
Hmm.
I felt shame
Hmm.
for like not being able to be present. I felt shame for not being able to be there.
Yeah.
And and around the same time, I started kind of building a side hustle, right? And my issue was like I was like, how can I like I don't want to just like start a business and basically like burn all my cash for the next several years and just do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem a lot. That scares me too much because I grew up so poor. I'm like, what
Hmm.
I'd much rather do is like, how can I find a good opportunity vehicle
Yeah.
I can build up, um, that also give me time freedom. That was really
Yeah.
important, right? So I want to be able to build a life around the business, right? That can work. Or I'm sorry, I want to build a business around the life. Is what I wanted to
Hmm.
do, right? So,
Yeah.
I want to be. I couldn't really do school pickups or drop offs. I couldn't do really school
Hmm.
events. It's starting to get to that age at that point. So eventually, when I decided to make that move, and I felt felt good about it, went all in business. It was it literally focused on like time with the kid,
Aw.
right? Time with the adults, time with her. And so
Yeah.
for her love language is words of affirmation, quality time.
Ah. Okay.
So
What's yours?
service. So it's like
Ah.
that's how
Okay.
I would show up, but for her that wasn't good enough, right?
Ah. So
So
you learned the hard way. It sounds
100%.
like.
So like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm in town Friday now. I'm taking care of the kid. I'm doing these things. I'm
Yeah.
showing you a little. I'm making dinner. I'm
Ah. But
cooking. I'm
wasn't
cleaning.
affirmation. Yeah.
It wasn't her love language.
Huh.
That was that was me just being a bonehead, not being self-aware,
Hmm.
right? And I think a lot of times it's like it's okay to make mistakes, but hopefully we can observe a mistake and learn from the right mistake.
Yeah.
So what was interesting was I went all in that business September 2019, and I remember I still was very worried. I think I should last I had a lot of imposter syndrome and fears and worries about even doing that.
Hmm.
But I remember the exact moment when I realized this is a really good move, and it was
Hmm.
about maybe 2 months in,
Oh.
and it was about two
Fair.
months in,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like anything with the business actually.
Oh.
What it was at this point my kid's like over 2.5 years old, almost 3,
Hmm.
and anytime he get hurt, fall, trip,
Hmm.
hurt himself, mommy, when's the mom?
Oh.
Always, never.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was in November 2019.
Uh huh.
He falls. Daddy runs to me,
Oh. Oh.
and that was like
That's
the first time.
profound.
And that was like the moment where I'm like,
Oh.
this bond that we had, like it was kind of like slowly building up over the last couple
Yeah.
months. That was
Oh.
because I was actually present. And
I see.
And to me, I was like,
Huh.
wow, this is why I made the move,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
So like it's just sometimes you just don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
Or what's really most important until maybe you see it
Hmm.
or you feel it.
I'm curious. Like, do you think that opposites, like in marriages, like opposites attract? Like, do you? Because I would say my wife is also the opposite. So when you describe your wife, I feel like that sounds exactly like my wife.
Yeah, it's so I think opposites attract. What I think is really key is alignment in values.
Yeah.
So like,
And you have that.
yeah, we have alignment in values for the most part. There's certain
Yeah.
things we kind of go back and forth on. Like I'm pretty like I'm one of those guys still like I'm still pretty frugal. I'm just how I am right now.
But okay, so this is a good question, right? Because like this is like to your point, Chinese mentality.
Yeah.
So, but like at one point, like, do you think you'll ever kind of not be frugal, or do you think that's like a lifelong like?
Well, so it's one of those things where it's like I'm like for things I really care about, I'll put
Uh huh.
money towards.
Like, what are those things?
So like okay, for example, like and I've had to change my mindset on this.
Yeah.
So like, well, let me tell you what I don't care about first. Then I'll tell you what
Okay.
I care about. So for example, for the most part, I really don't care about clothes.
Mm.
Okay.
And that's rare because I think a lot of people care about
Right.
clothes.
I'm pretty like I wear basically the same thing every day. Like
Yeah.
this beanie was a gift for Christmas like 10 years ago. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
My company paid for the sweatshirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you do have a Rolex though, so I don't know.
okay, so I like time. Everyone's got a life. I love timepieces.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right?
So that's different.
So I have like a kind of crazy timepiece collection. But
Oh, so you have a lot of like Rolexes.
yeah, I think I have like maybe 8 or 10 Rolex.
Wow.
I got a few
Huh.
things I got.
Oh, okay. So
for
that's
other
what you
people.
rather.
So that's like what I spend money on, right?
Okay, okay.
T-shirts. I buy $7 T-shirts. You know, but my pants, like before I just buy whatever pants and don't like it.
Yeah.
But they're kind of expensive. They're like Lululemon, ABC pants. They're kind of expensive. Like yeah. Plus,
But you're rich.
but still, that's one like again, like I'm about deploying cash to
Yeah.
maximize that cash.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm like, but the pants though are great. And the thing is like making money is actually relatively easy. Keeping the money is really hard.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
like for me, how much would I take that money? Like instead of buying like I don't really care about,
Yeah.
I'd much rather invest in the experiences.
Yeah.
One of the values that we have is experience over things.
You and your wife?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
did you sit down like and intentionally like is it like a once a week, once a month? Like how often
Yeah.
do you do that?
So we've always kind of lived that, but recently, like, just write them out.
Oh, okay.
Like our kids get to an age now, we want him to embody these too. So we have our family
Aw.
mission statement, family
Aw.
values, and we
Huh.
have a weekly meeting. We call it a sink and share.
Aw.
So we sit, as a family,
Wow.
just talk about. So sometimes what happens is like, I think it's really important to recognize the wins in your life. And
Mm.
somehow we forget about that, right?
Yeah.
Personally, we have about how your day and all that stuff. So we
Yeah.
share like one to three wins from the prior week.
Yeah.
And I'll ask my wife. This is kind of a scary question.
Hmm.
How did I show up last week?
Oh, wow. Oof.
Which is vice versa.
That's hard, yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And it's not designed to be like a critique.
Yeah.
So it's like really the intention is really just have an open dialogue and being able to share in a respectful way. Respect is also one of the values.
Oh, this goes back to your triple T's, right?
Totally timing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I can be a little too direct, and I forget some of those things.
Yeah.
But now I know we have the right timing and space where we can have a conversation
Uh-huh.
and dialogue about this.
Yeah.
So like if I was a little short with her last week or impatient with her, like and the goal is not to be defensive.
Yeah. That's the hard
So
part.
that's the hard part. So she's like, hey, like listen, like last week was great. What really bothered me though was you were real patient with me last week and you snapped at me. And for me, I'm like, I received that.
Yeah. Does your
I'm
child get involved with this as the feedback as well, or? Oh, wow.
He's still sense the level of depth is not quite there yet.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
He's got to think it's a fun, playful thing.
Aw, but that's
I'm
cool.
trying to get him to really internalize it as a deep family.
Wow, that's good. See, like most Asian families, I feel like don't do this. They don't. They do the opposite. It's like, let me just put on like,
Hold it, put the face, the mask.
yeah, and then you realize why there's like anger towards your parents and
100%, man.
yeah.
100% right. 100%
Huh.
right. So, it's a
Wow.
work in progress. But it's just like, when I think about relationships, it's like, how can we feed them daily and
Yeah.
just do our best to show them nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to fuck up.
True.
But can we have conversations together to hopefully push them together, to communicate, right? And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, thank you for being so vulnerable, right? I think we all strive to be like you, like millionaires and have like really nice home. Like you shared with me, like your beautiful home. And, I think on the outside, it's like, well, sometimes people are like, oh, he probably was born in a wealthy family or, maybe his parents own 20 restaurants. So I'm curious, so being Asian, so you're probably the only like true Asian sales influencer that I know. Like obviously that I aspire to be. Maybe one day I'll get to
You'll get
where
there,
you.
bro. I'm just a regular person.
But did you think about that? Like, did you ever like whether it's like speaking in front of a panel or you're being interviewed and like everyone else around you looks differently? Like, does that make you feel like okay, I need to like deliver or else like I have to represent? Or are you're like pretty comfortable in your own skin now? You don't really think about that as much.
I go back and forth. That's just reality. I think it's like, so I think what really drives me, one of the things that drives me is being able to show up with high level of love, care, and attention in whatever I do.
Yeah.
So like if I didn't like, for example, I'm presenting a little bit. If I
Yeah.
didn't prepare a little bit, have things I mapped out, I think that would not provide value for everyone else.
Yeah.
So for me, I still want to show up and do these things. Now,
Sup, Rohan?
I never had the goal of like, oh, I want to be an influencer or whatever. I think it's like kind of stupid, those terms. Like,
Okay.
it's just not something I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Because I just want to help people.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, and in today's world, the way is, you know, you can reach more people obviously via social media,
Right.
people, and it becomes a byproduct. So, for example, when I started my business, I went all in 2019, and I'm like my vehicle. I want to start my channels on LinkedIn. So
Uh,
I'm providing value as much as I can, trying to
yeah.
help people, and I was not focused on the outcome.
Huh.
I just want to help people, right?
That's yeah,
So I
interesting.
observed what other coaches were doing in space,
Okay.
and I'm like, they're not providing specific tactical things to do.
Huh.
They're not sharing specific stories. They're not showing
Ah.
video.
So you were able
Yeah,
to innovate.
100%. I saw they
Yeah.
don't do long form.
Oh.
Most of them would struggle doing super long videos
Huh.
in depth, and most of them actually, unfortunately, didn't carry the bag, didn't deliver results, didn't know how to
Okay.
deliver results. So I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start showing value.
Huh.
Within 6 months, I get a message from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, we've been following your journey now for like 6 months.
Yeah.
We want to recognize you as a LinkedIn top voice.
Wow.
So in 6 months of my business, I'm like, oh crap.
Damn.
Serious?
6 months.
I didn't
Yeah.
do anything. I just kind of
Huh.
value. So
That's crazy.
I don't know what's up. So like, and then since there, it's kind of been like a trickle effect.
Yeah.
Where it's like just other things that happen. Like people start asking me to go on podcasts. And part of it was like, I put myself out there.
Yeah.
It was scary. I got judged. I got trolled.
Hmm.
I got haters. You got trolled? 100%. I got trolls. I got people just like saying all types of like things. Oh, like that. That's so stupid. That wouldn't work. I'm like,
Huh.
bro, did you carry the bag? Yeah. You got the results to deliver.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
You want to get on a sales call with me? I'll show you what's up. Like, let's go on the
Huh.
call.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's have a conversation, right?
Well, part of it is you actually had the results, right?
100%.
It wasn't just theory.
100%. It was
Yeah.
theory. Like, and the thing was, like, at every level I was at, and I was telling someone last night, like, even when I ran a 110-person sales force,
Yeah.
and I was traveling all the time, when I was out with my teams, I was in the field.
Yeah.
having calls with them.
You were actually, yeah.
Having
That's
conversations.
rare too. That's
Exactly.
rare.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to see how they do, man. I would teach them how to do better.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I was intentionally teaching them not theory,
Yeah.
practical, time-proven mental models and principles that actually work with human behavior versus against it.
Yeah.
So that was really, really key. But anyway, it just like people started like people with haters and stuff. But at the end of the day, when you put yourself out there, you're gonna help more people. It's gonna happen.
Huh.
So you just accept it as it is.
So what do you do when there's a lot of trolls or haters? Do you respond back typically, or do you just kind of just ignore them?
So I
Like,
used to. I used to like try to argue with them. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. And then when I started arguing with them, I was an idiot. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people only talk behind your back when you're in the front, right? That's just different.
Ah.
So,
Interesting.
they hate us because they ain't us. So, what I started to do, like, it depends what it was.
Okay.
Right? If it's like, oh, that's a terrible way to do things. You should do it this way. I'm like, you're right.
So, like reverse, judo, mental judo.
Totally threw them off because,
Yeah.
dang, they're looking for a fight.
Huh.
And I just judoed with them. I just rolled with them, right?
Uh-huh.
Or I'll just ignore them. And sometimes if they're just going non-stop, I just block them.
Oh, okay, okay. So you do block some
Yeah, I'm
people.
like, okay, this is enough. Enough's enough. Like,
But-
I'm not like, stop.
But how do you like bounce back, right? Because for me, because I'm starting to put myself out there a lot more, I'm starting to get a lot more comments. Like it's hard. Sometimes I'm just
It's
like,
hard.
yeah.
It's hard because like it's funny because you can have 99% of the time people's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
you're absolutely amazing.
Right.
And then,
Most of the time.
you're like dumb in this video. I'm like, no.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's what I
yeah.
remember, right? So
Yeah.
That's hard.
Okay.
But that's why it's doing something to set your intention for the day and reminding yourself how great you are every day is actually really important.
Okay.
So that's why it's like it's getting my presentation today. I'm going to talk about how it's really important to actually brainwash yourself in a certain way. So
Yeah.
you can remind yourself. The first thing you have to sell is actually yourself. If you don't sell yourself, you can't sell anybody else.
Yeah.
So like the more you sell yourself, the better you're going to produce results.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you talk about imposter syndrome, but obviously you present yourself outwardly very confident. So, like when you do have your imposter syndrome, do you just go back to your formula, like your framework?
There's a couple of different things. Number one, you can beat nervous with service, right?
Ooh.
Which is you help other people and you provide massive value to uplift them, which is really, really key, right? And then the other piece is like,
Hey, what's up, guys?
there's certain things you want to consistently remind yourself, right? Whether it can be simple stuff, whether it's affirmations, reviewing your goals, etc. I was one thing I learned years ago, and it was I still have it to this day. And actually, this is good for you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I remember It was 2009. I was working a lot, like 60 hours a week. I had a small team underneath me at the time. The economy is still really bad. We're producing great results, but I'm like, I want a little ace in my back pocket. You know what I should do? I'm like, I should get my MBA. So I
Oh,
started getting my MBA. So I was working full time and did my MBA.
damn.
Right?
That's
So
so
I'm
Asian.
yeah, dude, totally Asian. It was like so Asian. And I gotta make that green, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
stack that cash and capital,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna get some education. So
Yeah.
I started getting
Damn, dude.
MBA at night, and it's. How do I get this? What was your original question? I totally lost it.
Imposter syndrome, like, how do you.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So day one of the MBA, it was really interesting. So like, it was like I think the house was maybe 10 people, and the teacher was like, hey, listen, I want everybody to look around. It's only 10 people look at each other. She's like, listen, just so you know, only 4 of you are gonna make it through.
Damn.
I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, 6 of you are gonna drop out and quit sometime through the program. You're gonna have excuses. You're gonna have limiting beliefs. You're gonna say you're too busy. You can't
Yeah.
do it. This is my MBA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, this is really
I
interesting.
pay a lot of money for that shit. Sorry, my Asianness. I pay for this. Why do I not get my value?
Yeah.
That's how I am. It's not like, well, I was the only Asian in that group. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I finished. So, anyways, I finished, right?
Yeah.
So she said, listen,
It's like paying 18
the first assignment I'm going to give you is now what you expect. I
Yeah.
want you, your first assignment is I want you to write a letter to yourself.
Huh.
I'm like, huh. She's like, I want you to write, like right now, who's excited? We're all excited. She's like, right now you're excited. Write a letter to yourself about why you're doing this, why it's important to you,
Yeah.
the specific reasons, the specific outcomes that it's going to lead to because of it. And I want you, that's your assignment to turn it in. And on top of that, not only do you need to turn it in, but every time the next couple of years you want to quit or give up, you pull that letter out and you read it to yourself and you remind yourself of why you do it. You date it. It's a future letter to yourself.
Yeah.
I've actually taken the same concept now. So that was over a decade plus ago. And I've done the same thing. And anytime I'm in a new role, I write myself a new role, a new thing I'm doing. I write myself a new letter.
They said you're a smart guy.
Not that smart.
I'm live
your
streaming.
model, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a great mental model. It's a great principle. I'm gonna stick in my brain. I'm gonna utilize it. So now,
Yeah.
like, even when I started my business, like I knew I'd have imposter syndrome. I knew I would hit what I call the moment of truth,
Huh.
which is, Ian calls it the valley of despair. When you're at
Ah,
the pit.
okay.
To me, it's the moment of truth because that's where champions are made.
Huh.
So the actions you take at that point determine where you actually go.
Wow.
So you take the wrong actions, you stay in that valley, or you chase a dopamine hit to try to neutralize it, which I did for a long time. Versus you take the right action in the moment of truth. So champions mean you do the hard stuff, and you face the fears and you move up. Anyways, so
Wow.
I write this letter, right? Even when I started my business. But not only do I write the letter, I put it in there. I write down like dear Marcus, you're reading this because you feel like a failure. You feel like an imposter. I'm writing down all the emotions I know I'm gonna feel. You're gonna want to quit. You're second guessing yourself. You think you should go back to corporate. You're thinking about going on the LinkedIn, looking at CRO jobs and VP sales jobs. You're thinking about this. You need to stop.
Wow.
The reason you're doing this is because of reason 1, reason 2. I write a sales letter to myself. Reason 3, reason 4, reason 5.
Yeah, he did.
But on top of that, not only do I do that, I say, and in case you've forgotten, here's how great you are, and let's put the accomplishments. So
Wow.
because you forget,
That's so smart.
in the moment of your darkest times,
Yeah.
your brain has those ants, automatic negative thoughts, and now you're telling yourself all these bad things. You're like, I'm a failure, I'm terrible. I failure.
Yeah, I don't know why Rohan said it's like not as clear.
All right.
I don't know.
Oh,
Let's
it's
put
pretty
it.
loud here too.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people around Rohan.
Hold like this. I'll make it a little better. So
Is that better, Rohan? Let me know.
You do so now it's like what up? And by the way,
Yeah, I'm live
year
streaming.
one, I look
Live
at it all the
streaming,
time. All the time, year one, right? And you have to have it handy. And the thing is, dude, I'm in year.
He said it works.
Yeah, I'm in year I'm coming year 5. I'll look at it periodically. There are
Yeah.
times where I'm like, because here's the thing: when you run your own business, you're basically 100% commission,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You deliver the
Oof.
cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have a cash flow in business, So there's always, then you chase the stability.
Yeah, he
you
did.
think, no such thing, right? Of a job. So, but that's why I think it's important for anything that you do, having something like this is really important. If you can choose something hard, you want to learn something new, do something different. That letter could be your saving grace.
So do you do a new letter every year, or how often do you update that?
Every new role,
Oh, any new big challenge,
any
like,
new challenge, I'm gonna take over.
okay.
So like taking over a sales team, get promoted.
Oh, so you've done this all the way from the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Since I
okay.
learned that little trick, it didn't
Huh.
make sense.
So what was the last letter that you wrote?
2019, September 2019, to myself.
Oh, the
When I
entrepreneurship.
started, I knew it'd be hard.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was scared, man. It's like it's really hard to give up security.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like like entrepreneurship is beautiful because you are the author of vision. You have unlimited optionality. The downside is you have unlimited optionality.
Right.
So you're not even sure like the decisions you make today, what's the impact in 5 years, 2
Yeah.
years, 3 years. There's like 50% of business you're going to shut down within your first couple of years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
90% only lasts in the first 5 years.
Wow.
So like the stats are actually against you already. So that type of logic. It's like how can I best position my mind to have the best possible win rate in the opportunity I'm going into.
So what is something about entrepreneurship that you didn't expect?
How lost you are all the time.
Like even now.
Even now, like
Yeah.
sometimes you make a move and you just think like, I think this is the right move, and you don't even know the impact till later, right?
Yeah.
So you do your best, and sometimes you get you compare, you see someone else on Instagram or LinkedIn doing something like, oh, I should just do what
Yeah.
I should copy that. But here's the thing,
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
part of the journey. So even the
He did.
tactic they're doing, the strategy they're doing, may not be applicable given what
Right.
they're doing.
Huh.
Right? So we were talking about this last night. Having too many offers up front
Yeah.
actually dilutes your marketing
Hands off.
and everything else that you do.
That's
right?
good advice.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know that too early on.
Huh. So how do you what's the difference between studying your market and understanding the competitive landscape, but then also doing it in your unique strengths, right?
So I think first off, I like to look at you first pick a niche or what you want to go into, and you look at the marketplace, right? So I'm looking at okay, number one, is the TAM big enough? Is there enough of the people there for me to go after?
Yeah.
Right? If I can capture 1%, is that a viable business?
1%. Okay.
Right? You can do a higher number, but I'm just saying I like to be also conservative.
Yeah.
So if the TAM's too small, I don't know if I want to build a business around that. Right? And then on top of that, are they do they want it? Do they desire it? Number three, are they willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
So if they're not willing to pay for it, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You're the best thing in the world, right? But it's kind of like if you're a career coach, right?
Yeah.
You can only charge so much for that marketplace.
Yeah.
Because literally there might be between careers. Would someone pay $20K for a career coaching? Probably a very small amount. I'm sure there's some people, but most are not going to do it. A couple $1,000 probably. I don't know how much people charge now, but I'm just like.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate what you just said. I would
It
say.
kind of depends on the marketplace.
Yeah.
Right? The market tells you everything. So I think it's really key. Then what you also want to do is even when you make a hypothesis, the key is you test the hypothesis. So if you're all right, I believe based on my research, I think this market is willing to pay for it, they're willing to do this. You're not gonna know until you put it out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's gonna be an absolute banger. And sometimes it'll flop.
Yeah.
It's okay if it flops. That's the feedback. That's a feedback. What's the feedback loop? What else can we do to actually change this?
Yeah.
So then you can decide, okay, what can you do differently to potentially change the outcome?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sorry. Are you recording this for like a podcast?
Oh, I'm live streaming for my YouTube channel. Is that okay?
Totally fine.
Okay. So
Don't listen to me. I don't really know. My question is, what's the volume of trying something that gives you enough data to realize that it's fake?
Oh. Okay. That's a tough one.
Depends what it is.
Let's just take something that everybody hates, which is I want to prospect via calls and emails into SVP and above, which means we know it's going to take 8 to 10 touches minimum.
Yeah.
But when you're past that 8 to 10 touches, stone cold silence.
Sure.
How do you know if it's working or failing?
So you can either pay the time tax, okay? Time tax is trial and error.
Yeah.
Right? That's the tuition of learning of simply trial and error.
Tuition of learning.
And hopefully just figuring it out.
Grind it through, right?
You grind it through. And that is unknown. Because here's the thing. it's kind of like this, right? What if you just need one tiny tweak?
Correct.
Right? So, like, for example, I think it's like be on a plane. If the pilot's 1 degree off, if you're heading towards LA, 1 degree off might put you in like Oregon, right? So, is your sequence 1 degree off? We don't really know. So, this is why it's really valuable to be part of the programs like today's program, Ian's program, because being able to get external guidance, take a look, okay, this is optimized quite well. Now, let's test the sequence, right? But there's other variables too you have to consider, which is like, do we have the right data, right? Did we do the proper research? Do we have the right type of POV? Did we like, okay, perhaps we'll go for the SVP and the sequence that you've run through, 500 different like prospects. It's not really working. Okay, like how can we change our strategy a little bit, right? We know we still want to sell to them at some level, but now perhaps, okay, how can we maybe we don't do 500, now how can we go lower, do our homework at the lower levels, get all the intel and then go back up again and have a far more compelling, POV, a thesis, if you will, be able to say, hey, listen, I've had conversations with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is what I've uncovered based off your 10K reports. I've also uncovered these are primary objectives. We've helped X people do these, do the same thing. Would you be open to conversation?
Yeah.
So now it's like it's super granular, right? So and again, but here's the thing: you won't win them all. You won't win them all. So. Part of it's like being able to look at your opportunities and also qualify them out too. It's like you know what? Like, okay, this is taking a little bit too long. And
I'll ask him.
If your territory changes, say every 12 months,
then do I really want to invest?
And I got 6 months to go. I know the sales cycle is typically 9 months. Is this going to give me the right ROI, or am I going to work my tail off and now it's going to go to somebody else? Come Q1. So there's so many factors you have to kind of incorporate. But at the end of the day, you make a bet on it, and I tell you what, if the bet didn't work out, how can I improve my odds for next time?
Right.
That's really key.
It's always perpetual learning. Got it.
Someone asked, he's raising money. He asked if you've ever raised money for any of your businesses or taken any outside. Nah, you just bootstrapping the whole time? Damn.
So here's the thing. So the business I'm in is a little bit different, right? So when you're in like info products, consulting, coaching, you can run relatively high margins.
Yeah.
So I waited too long, but I didn't hire anybody for a year and a half.
Wow.
I had the most basic software early on. Literally my early CRM was like a free Trello board early on. I didn't really have any I had really cheap tech. So my biggest expenses year one was actually cold ads. And I just wasted the money. I'll just figure it out.
So you don't recommend doing ads?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying I don't recommend it. Ads is one of those things that requires a lot of A/B testing. So when you do ads, you have to be willing to mentally expect, if I spend the money, I'm not going to get any ROI. And if you're okay with that,
that's scary,
right? So you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Mentally. So if you're not okay with that, then you have to choose a different strategy. Because typically when you build a business, there's 4 key pillars you have to have. You need to have a traffic source, you need to have leads, you need to have a sales mechanism, and you need to have a key offer, right? And you can obviously fulfill on the back end, but that's kind of forward, just at least get a cash flow in business. So the traffic piece, there's many ways to get traffic. You can do outbound, you can do hand raisers, you can do partnerships, you can do webinars, you can do JVs, you can do campaigns for contests. There's many ways to
What's a JV?
Joint venture.
Oh, okay.
For example, if you could partner up with somebody, for example, if you're even the JV doesn't have to be anything complex. Some people do trying to sell a paid thing, or sometimes even a combined effort to borrow audiences is really powerful. For example, if I did a webinar with Jason Bay, we put a webinar together, we both promote it, we get 1,000 leads into it, we share the leads.
Oh, okay,
right?
I see.
That becomes infinitely more valuable to the audience and also to us as well.
Yeah, it's like ecosystem merging, it sounds like.
100%.
Yeah.
So you can do
Spreading value.
Yeah, so that's called a borrowed traffic.
Huh.
So I can borrow people's traffic.
So it sounds like with ads, so it sounds like you've also experimented with ads. Is it like sort of like if when it does hit, it's like really big ROI, or?
Well, it can be. So typically we have what's called ROAS, return on ad spend. So you put $1 in, hopefully you get like at least $2 back.
Yeah.
So you make your 50% margin off of just your ads, not including any cost of goods
Yeah.
or your margin on running other parts of the business, right? But if you're really good at ads, and depending on the market, depending if you find them and you have the right copy and the right offer, you can get 3, 4, 5, 10x. So you put $1, you make $10 back. Now,
Okay.
it's a pretty hard space now because ads are very expensive.
Okay.
Depending on the platform, how good it is, and also on the offer as well. The offer is really, really important.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I find I'm gonna overgeneralize here for the trolls out there, but generally speaking, like cold ads work really well if it's a business opportunity.
Okay.
So meaning, it's like, hey, here's a new way to actually make money. So for example, hey, are you in your 9 to 5? Are you hating your boss? Are you sick of reports? Are you sick of updating Salesforce? How would you like to make the same money you're doing now from the freedom of your home, whenever you want, when you want, on a laptop, on board, and without running a sales call?
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what's this opportunity?
Yeah.
Right? And then you find out it's Amazon FBA or it's crypto or whatever, you know. Like, so like, but they're selling you on this opportunity to do a new thing to make money, right?
Yeah.
So those are much easier because generally speaking, people love new, shiny, simple, easy, right?
So someone's asking what are your revenue numbers if you're willing to share?
I'll say this way: we're pretty consistent, usually 7 figures plus.
Okay. And then someone asked something about the true meaning of an entrepreneur is what you've experienced in your life. I get.
It's powerful.
Yeah. Rohan, what do you mean by that? Is that like just being present or enjoying the process? Is that what he's trying to say?
That's my interpretation.
Okay.
Nothing has any meaning except the meanings we give it. So.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. So I do want to ask you a little bit more about like the Asian experience because, because like a lot of my viewers are like Asians that are like breaking into tech sales or they're struggling with being assertive, like asking for promotions. Like for instance, like I've helped maybe like 15 Asians that are trying to break from SDRs to AE. And that's like a common challenge. They're like, hey, I'm crushing my numbers, but I'm still not getting promoted, right? So what advice would you give to folks that are in that specific scenario?
Sure. So I think I'm pretty blessed. I was promoted 12 times in 8 years in 2 major companies, very competitive. And there's a couple things you have to do. So number one, bare minimum, you have to over-deliver, okay? Over-delivering on whatever KPIs you want as a bare minimum.
Okay.
It's like, that's expected. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone else they put in that role, generally speaking, is going to do the same thing. So that's not enough.
Okay.
Number two, you need to add far more value than your role, right? So what that means is like, okay, let's just say, for example, you're an SDR, you're crushing it, and other people on your team are not crushing it.
Yeah.
So what will provide value to your leader? Well, what if you went to your leader and said, hey, Davidson, I noticed the team's struggling a little bit. I'm typically converting at 90% on every cold call that connects.
Yeah.
Would you be okay if I ran the team meeting next week and I broke down my 4-step formula on exactly how I run an opener to close and handle objects? Would you be okay with that? Would that be useful? I guarantee your boss, I'm like, please.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
it's not just one time, it's making it consistent, right? Now, that's the second piece, right? The third piece, are you setting clear intentions on exactly what you want to do? Right? So literally, I'll give you a good example. I was my last company, Centos, and I had sold for 9 months. Well, in top reps, got promoted to be a sales manager at that time. One of the fastest company in history. Most people take 3 to 5 years. I did it in 9 months. And I sit down the VP. He's my new boss. And I say, Mark, amazing leader, really good guy. I said, Mark, I'm really excited to get this role. I'm going to over-deliver for you. I will. My goal is I want to be your director in under 5 years.
Wow.
This is like conversation. He's like, slow your roll, man. Slow your roll.
Yeah.
You just started.
Yeah, but you made it known.
Yeah. But he wrong. Here's like, you need to be consistent about it. So I say, I'm like, what would you have to see from me? So when the opportunity comes up, I'm your number one guy you're thinking about. And he's like, dude, like first of all, just show me you can turn this team around, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And what else? Just start with that first. Okay. Just
Okay.
Slow your roll, right?
Yeah.
Tactile time is really important.
Right.
If I come in super egotistical, he's not gonna like that.
Yeah.
He's an alpha guy. So I recognize that, so I must adjust to it. I must adjust my tonality and how I deliver it, right? I know this. I'm selling internally. Selling internal is far harder than external.
Yeah.
So fast forward first quarter, we do 113% to target. have zero turnover. He's like, oh my God, like, he was a number like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Mark. I did what you said. I'm not right now, but what else? Like, dude, you gotta be consistent. You know, like, you gotta be. I mean, I get that. I
Yeah,
get that.
yeah.
What else? What else do you want to see? He's like, well, okay, fine. Like, number one, like you guys close not that many big deals. I want you to close big deals.
Huh.
They call them targets. I want you to close more targets. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. I'm like, what else? He's like, I want you to develop leaders. What do you mean? He's like, I want you to develop leaders who can backfill you. Show me you can teach them to not just to sell and be great salespeople, but to be leaders. Okay. What else? There's like a third. I can't remember what the third thing was. Some kind of minor.
Yeah.
So what I would do is like over the next year, every time we close a target, what I'll do is I'll email the team, and then I'll CC him. You know, hey team, congratulations, Christy. Just closed this deal for $750,000, 5-year term. You know,
Wow.
no changes to the price increase language, no changes to the T&Cs. Great job, Christy. Super proud of you.
Yeah.
CC him.
Yeah.
And then I kept doing it. Right? Every big deal. We were consistent with it.
Yeah.
I'm marketing internally as I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I asked him like, you know, another great quote. I said, hey man, like, see like the team closing target. He's like, no man, I want to see you closing targets.
This guy.
Well, I'm involved with all those.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, he's like, sure you are.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Huh.
I obviously didn't market that part. Okay.
I
So,
see. I see.
Next quarter, what I'm doing, you know,
Huh.
Dave's close another deal. Dave's like, congrats, David, said blah blah blah.
Huh.
CC him. Forward after, dude, he's awesome, but I did all this part. Okay? I'm involved in these deals.
Yeah.
Man. Like, this is the intricacy. I mean, he's like, so I kept doing it. I think before you're like, enough.
But still.
Those targets, you know how to do it.
Huh.
I get it, okay? I get it.
Yeah.
He's like, he's fine. He's very direct. So,
Yeah.
And then so my point was like, whatever you want, I'll keep showing. Right?
Huh.
So, that was really important. So I'm setting my
Yeah.
attention.
Okay.
I'm doing that. But here's what's interesting. Even at this point, I'm helping other people. Some other leaders were saying, whoa, turn this team around, and I would help them. I would say, hey, Mark, can I teach them how I run a one-on-one because I don't think they're being effective. Hey, Mark, can I show them how I structure these these trainings because I think that it's like a little bit effective. Hey, Mark, I built this training on how to actually increase your price by 50% and still end at a premium price point without any concessions to the T and C's. And I would provide this to everyone. What was happening was I was marketing to my peers.
Okay.
I was establishing, hey, I'm just like y'all. I have the same problems. But I'm learning things. I'm helping position myself to equal status and not above them. Right? So I was doing all this. Now there's more. I identified the chains of people that would impact me.
Yeah.
So I knew it wasn't just simple. There was like the general manager. There were other execs at the company at the C-level in corporate Mason, Ohio. I didn't know who those people were. So anytime I was out in like Mason, I would say, hey, Mark, would you be okay if I set up time with X executive? And I'll come prepared. And now these things I'm going to talk to them about. POV, questions to discuss. And would you be okay to reach out to the system? So I'll do that. And of course, just like a sales call, talking to an exec, I would run the sales call with them. Not selling anything, but just being a genuine good human being, having talking with execs. So what happens, you know, like 4 years later, director position opens up. I've managed all the stakeholders. I've built up all the stakeholders. Okay? I've been delivering on results consistently. I provided insane value at all levels. I treat everyone with kindness and respect. I'm helping people as much as I can. He's having me fly around helping other leaders to hang out with their team and show them like, oh, on BC, I'd ride their reps and take the reps, and I didn't get paid extra for that.
Yeah.
I was showing discretionary effort. Discretionary effort is effort beyond the job that you don't get paid for. So it's doing all these things, right? And I show up and I serve. That's all I really did.
Wow.
Now, is this stuff easy? No. But I've applied this principle across my whole life. So what happens is opportunities start showing up to you. Right? You become thought of as a go-to person.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember, like, I'm still a salesman at this time. It's a year and a half with the company, and again, my goal is to become like a director VP as fast as possible. That's my goal. And I'm a year and a half with the company, and I'm running the sales team. We're not amazing yet, but they can see they can see the trend. They're like, wow, this is like interesting. And I remember a year and a half in, I get an email from the assistant of a very high up exec. Can't say the name, unfortunately, but they're like, hey, can you hop on a call with X tomorrow morning?
Oh, wow.
I'm stressed. I'm like, they don't say why. I'm like, I'm sure I can, but if you want me asking, like, what should I prepare for the call?
Yeah.
Nothing to prepare, just wants to talk to you. I'm like, I'm gonna get fired.
Wow. You really thought that?
You don't, because when there's that vagueness,
Yeah.
fill it with insecurities.
Right. The ants.
The ants are one ant came in, and then more ants came in, and then my head was infested with ants. I call my boss, or I got this email. I'm gonna be there. I'm like, am I fired? Like, what's going on? He's like, huh? Like, you don't know either? Oh, yeah, I don't know either. Oh my.
Oh, really? He didn't?
Know either. I'm like, I'm so stressed now. I'm like, this
wow.
can't be good.
Yeah.
Nothing good can come from this conversation. I'm super, like, I don't get any sleep that night, of course.
Oh my God.
Sweaty palms. I get on a phone call with them, and it's a great conversation. And they had this greenfield opportunity. They wanted me to go expat in China. And present this opportunity up. And they're like, we need someone like you. We see what you're doing. We need leadership. 2-year assignment, and basically an automatic promotion. Right? And like it would just like skyrocket my career much faster. And 2-year assignment, I'd come back and I'd be an exec with no problem. So I'd probably be an exec within like probably 5 years. And I was like, wow, huge opportunity. Well, my point was, is doing all those things I mentioned. Super hard to be consistent with. But
Smart.
Feel it's part of what you do. Options will open up, but it's not just working hard hoping it happens. You have to intentionally design and create a situation that has highest possible chance to have a win rate.
Yeah, you guys heard that? It's not just doing the bare minimum and doing things outside at the team level, company level. So it's like more holistic, right? Instead of just being laser focused on.
This is also a really key point. You have to be able to create the image in your mind you already at the level. This is very important.
Yeah.
Especially wherever the reality is perception is reality. So like, it's not about changing who you are, but how can you authentically show up in a certain way? And so for example, because I wanted to be an exec, I worked very hard for years, since 2007, to be able to have the executive acumen of an exec. From how I show up, my conviction, my delivery. Because I used to talk kind of like this.
Really?
I had upspeak. Would you like to have a meeting?
Really?
Is a good idea?
Yeah.
And perception's reality. But how do execs talk? Conviction, delivery, intensity. Not all, but generally speaking, right?
Right.
So I need to make sure I improve my communication skills to that level as well. So like, I had to show up in their mind. So do all this and also be able to show them I'm one of them.
Wow.
And they can see you as one of them. It's not being a robot, but it's becoming the version of you that's going to be able to earn that type of opportunity.
Thank you. So someone asked about your business model. Like, how does that work?
Super simple. So I'm quiet. So it's super simple. Why don't you wrap up soon?
Yeah, I think we're heading out soon.
So super simple. So I have like a couple of core offers. I have a group coaching program with coaching salespeople, right? And then I have a one-on-one program for the same type of people. Some like founders in there too.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I'll tag all of your stuff. That was super valuable. Thank you so much, Marcus.
See you all later.